Hello, welcome back. Oh my God, guys, it's been way too long. I am so sorry, but I have had a lot of things going on in my life. A lot of life-changing things have happened over the last month, so we're going to get into all that. There's also so much going on in the world. There's some fitness updates. I've had a physical stuff to talk about. We got health news. We got other shit. Let's go. All right, welcome back. 118. We're at episode 118 of the show. How is everybody doing? Are you guys all right? How has your summer been? We haven't clocked in since the beginning of June, the end of spring, and now we're halfway through. We're almost done the summer, as some say. I think we're just halfway. I think we still got a lot to go. I feel like it's gone very slow. I'll explain why. For me, time has moved slow over the last 5 weeks because I've gotten a dog. I have a dog. I am now a dog owner, and it has been an incredible journey. Let's put it that way. We were kind of planning to have one in the fall because we were waiting on a breeder, but then another breeder came up. We went and saw the pups, and we left with one. And now little Gus is with us until the end of days, which could be any year now. Who knows? No, it's been great. It's very difficult. I don't know how people do puppies more than once. They bite, they teeth, they drive you crazy, but then they're also sweet and sleepy, and that part's nice. But then the other part, and you're worried about his poos, and you're worried about his food, and you're worried about him having to chew on wires, and we've puppy protected everything in our house. I've got, which is nice because my office is actually really cleaned up nice now. My work desk is nice and organized. The cords are away and hidden in different devices and different cylindrical tubes. But, you know, they poke out just ever so slightly, and yes, he'll find them. So we got to keep an eye on that. And then the garden, we've got all kinds of fencing up. We've got different kinds of fence. We got stuff to prevent him from digging to get out of the place. We got him from going into to plants that are poisonous. It's a lot. It's a lot to have a dog. You know, it's bittersweet him being a puppy. It's the minority of time with your dog that you get in this form. And then he becomes mature and he becomes like a different dog. And we're both really looking forward to that. There's some sadness because he's small and cute, and he's going to be about triple the size that he is now when he's full. But I just want his baby teeth fall out so we can have a little bit less stress in our lives. But we love him. No regrets there. And feels good. You know, it's pushing us in some different ways, in some different mindsets. And, you know, after getting this dog, I think we made the decision. You know that I'm on the hometown stopover. You know that I've been doing this for about 5 years now, since I left the city of Toronto. And we've decided this is our last year. We're going to leave Newmarket next year. This is the hometown stopover countdown. We are probably exactly a year away from leaving. And the people below us are moving out, so we're waiting to see what new tenants we get in below us. And it makes it a little bit easier to know that whatever happens, we'll be out in a year, and we'll probably be going a little bit northeast or something to a small town. Hopefully, we'll be able to buy a place, and that is the dream that we are going to make happen next year. We're ready to leave the GTA. If you're my American listeners, if you're my Irish listeners, what's up? If you're my people from Turkmenistan, my people from Kazakhstan, my people from Turkey. The GTA is a very busy, sweaty drip from the city of Toronto that is in full control of major elections in this country based on the amount of votes. It's kind of like California in some ways. There's a lot of votes coming out of the GTA that affect how our federal election goes. And we'd like to exit that, and we'll probably be going into the fuck Trudeau states, as we call them. The people that hate liberals are probably conservative. You might get lucky sometimes when you go into these smaller towns that are NDP. I'm not fully on board with the NDP either. I'm not on board with any of them. but I'm not a conservative. We've talked about this. It's on the tapes. Anyway, got a dog. We're out of here. Out of here in a year. Can't wait. And I'll keep you posted. We'll see, because we're going to go try some different towns out. We're going to see what grabs us. Hopefully we get like a place that's like a nice little Beetlejuice town. You know, like I want to have my Beetlejuice. I want to go into some creepy old house. I'm just going to be looking for birds and stuff. And if it's a little haunted, it's a little haunted. I can deal with that. So moving on to, as I said, until this lockout is over, I'm going to mention it on every podcast. The commercial union actors in Canada are still locked out from auditions and jobs. It's been over 2 years. It's been almost 2.5 years. And it doesn't feel like there's any hope. It doesn't feel like it's going to change anytime soon. There's a part of me that only hopes that these agencies that are locking us out might just want to do it for a few years, and then they've saved enough of their money, and then they can go back to regular business. That's really the only hope I have, because I don't think they're just going to bow down and start paying us what we deserve and giving us access to the jobs that we've had for the last 60 years of constant, collective bargaining agreements between us. Very, very disappointing. I think I've had about 18 commercial auditions this year. 18. Might sound a lot to a person who isn't an actor, but that's usually what you have in about a month or a month and a half, and that's 7 months. So what am I having? Like not even two auditions a month. And, I just was on hold for something again. And it was with the director I've worked with many times. And this is what pisses me off, that even with the casting houses now, because of this lack of respect for us, it seems to be perpetuating even the casting agencies that aren't directly involved. They're kind of the middlemen in between the agencies. They can't really control anything either way. But now they're putting us on hold. I was on hold for a commercial that didn't have a wardrobe till today. And that was like 2.5 weeks ago. Didn't release me. Like, none of us are working. Could you at least let us know that we didn't get the job? Could you at least have the compassion to let us know that we didn't make the cut so we can move on and open up our availability again or whatever? Don't let us wait to the day before the wardrobe fitting to go, oh, maybe they will contact us, or like I'm going to get a wardrobe call. That's the other thing, how shitty the commercial industry is. Most of the time, actors find out they got the role by wardrobe calling you. Isn't that fucking ridiculous? That just shows you what commercial actors, and I get it. Nobody wants to be a commercial actor. Everyone who's a commercial actor is doing it because they have to, because there are no TV and film jobs that are going to pay them enough money to make an income. So if you're in Canada, you have to do it. There's very few people who ignore that part of the industry altogether and just focus on TV and film. Some do. I know some do. They're very successful, but I know some that they're doing so much TV and film, and they're still going out for commercial stuff because they just aren't making enough money. So it's endless and it's impossible. And I kind of, I've had a lot of issues with my hair. I've been losing my hair now. I'm trying to figure out how long it's been. It may have been as much as 15 years. I feel like I've been clocking stuff on my hair loss since I was like 22, when it was very minor. But I took pictures of my head. I remember when I was a 22-year-old kid, and I was like, am I losing my hair? Is my hair thinning, or is it just the gel or something that I was using? And is it spreading the hair? I was big into gel in those days, and maybe that's what caused it, because, genetically, I'm not supposed to be losing my hair. My grandfather, I think I've talked about this on the show many times before, full head of hair on my mother's side, right until he died when he was 90. So that's the genetic connection you're supposed to have, your father on your mother's side. And I do have his hair in some ways, because the man had, 50 cowlicks. He had crazy cowlicks in his hair, and I have them too. Very difficult when you're cutting your hair. Very difficult when hair grows out, because it grows out in a real weird, funny way. So it requires a lot more attention when you want to keep a hairstyle. And with the thinning and stuff, you know what I said? I was like, if I don't get this fucking audition, I'm going to shave my head bald. And So I did last night. Okay, I didn't go bald, but I went lower than I've ever shaved my head before. I went down to a 2. It's 6 millimeters right now, but I bought a skull shaver kit, and I'm going to shave my head bald. I think what I'm going to do, here's my plan. I'm going to get used to the bald head again because it's pretty bald right now. Before I do shave it, I'm going to contact my old friend, Natalia. We're going to do my last headshots, hopefully for a little bit of a deal. And I'm going to do it with a 2. I'm going to do it with fully bicked head, just so that I can have that, because this is probably my last year as being an actor as we know it. This is probably my last year of having an agent, because once I leave Newmarket, once we get further away from the city of Toronto, more than an hour and a half, I'm not going to be driving in anymore for any audition, for any callback, nothing. I'll be done. Unless they can audition me and cast me remotely. And like, honestly, if that's the mentality that you're going to have as an actor, let me tell you something. You got to get out. You need to be there. You need to be in the thick of it. You need to want to go in. You need to want to, like, I'm like the fucking Tin Man out here. I am as rusty as it fucking gets. Yeah, I'm getting put on hold quite a bit, but obviously maybe it's like all of these factors playing in and why I'm not getting it. I know I've talked a little bit too long. This might be a longer episode. We're only going to do 1 in July. I'm going to try and get back into it in August on the 2 a month, but I might have to go back to the old Charlie Bucket studio ways. I might have to record into my phone like the old days in the bed and just kind of wing it that way and not have so many studio things until this little fucker dog gets a little better and can like just chill, can just fucking chill. Because I'd like him to be in here at my feet while I'm recording. That'd be nice. But I got to pick my time. I've like, the good thing about it is like I'm working more consistently than I ever had. I don't fuck around with work. It's like I get to work and I fucking go as hard as I can until it's done to get it done as fast as I can. So I think that's good. Anyway, that's enough. That's enough about me. That's enough about my shaved head. I'll just say one more thing. If you're someone that is not balding and you have a friend or a family member who has shaved their head because they're losing their hair, and you might not agree with shaving their head, whatever it is, I don't know what the opinion is. I had some weird opinions the last time I shaved my head. Why don't you just keep them to yourself, okay? Until you're going through this horrible stage of losing your hair. I think you need to applaud people that are losing their hair when they finally stop trying to comb over it and just shorten it and accept it. Have a little more acceptance and just keep your opinions to yourself, really. Just keep your opinions to yourself, because you're probably someone who has hair and is not losing their hair. So shut the fuck up and let the people who are balding do what they got to do to feel better in life. And then when you are balding, get back to me. We can have chats about it. Okay. Just wanted to get that out there. Anyway, lots of stuff going on in the world. Biden pretty much had a stroke during his debate, and then he waited for the RNC to happen, and they are immediately stepped down. I don't know if he's got COVID. We don't know if he's got Alzheimer's. He's looking old and tired, and man, he did an address after to explain why he's stepping down, and he seems like a very tired, sick old man, and I don't know if he's going to beat Jimmy Carter at this point. I think Jimmy Carter's going to outlive him. And Kamala Harris is going to be stepping in and going against Donald Trump. She's going to get the DNC nomination. Obviously, she's raised like $100 million in like 2 days since announcing that she was running for president, the first black female president of that country. Oof. I'm a bit nervous about that. I think we all know what America thinks about black folk. And now they did vote in Obama twice, but a female black person and racism has gotten a lot worse there. Ooh, good damn. I really hope that people can put that aside. Just look, I don't know how you feel about the blacks there. I know I know you've had your history and your issues in that country, and you haven't even been around 300 years, this country. And this is what happens. This is what happens with all countries of the world. This is you building your history. Sometimes empires crumble. Sometimes countries split apart and they change their names even sometimes. It's wild, man. Sometimes they get dominated by a dictator and they come in and everything changes and it becomes a different country. So this is kind of what it's on the cusp of here in America, and I feel like you just need to put aside your racial prejudice and vote in these Democrats one more time, and then you could probably have your whoever conservative in the next one, because Donald Trump will not be alive in 4 to 5 years. I really don't think he will not run again, because by the time the next time there's an election, he'll be like 82 running. He's not going to. He looks brutal and tired and fat and bloated, and someone tried to kill him. That's the other thing we didn't talk about. Yeah, someone tried to shoot and just barely missed. There's been some conflicting reports if it was a bullet that hit his ear or was it a piece of glass from the teleprompter that cut his ear. He got cut. Anyway, that bullet created some damage into his ear, and he played it up and put a tampon or whatever in his ear, and that's what you'd expect him to do. And his followers are now wearing ear patches and shit, and it's just the dumbest country. So glad I don't live there. I'm healthy. Don't worry. I'm fine. We'll get to that in the fitness update. Got to keep this thing moving along. We got to keep this thing moving along. I would just say to the American listeners, I know they've been dwindling. I know I shit on your country a lot, and I guess that's why my American listenership has gone down. But Project 2025 is very scary for that country, and it'll probably be the end of the United States, Project 2025. So you should try and make that not happen. We got some big RIPs out there, okay? The great Donald Sutherland, great Canadian actor. So sad that he went, but he's old. Great life, great career. God bless. Richard Simmons. We got to talk about Richard Simmons because this is a health podcast. It's a pro fast food podcast. Now, Richard Simmons, one of probably the most famous health icons out there. You know, he had the tapes. You know, he had the flamboyancy, and he was a fat kid from Louisiana. He was someone that was a chubby chub back down there. And boy, I tell you, when you're fat in Louisiana, they do, the cholesterol can hit you pretty bad. Pretty bad there. I remember, go back and check the tapes before I went to South Carolina, and I talked about how bad Louisiana was for just about everything, health-wise. Not a good place to get sick. Richard Simmons he's a health icon, and it's sad. But here's another person. Here's another celebrity that fell, did not get help, thought they were okay, and died. Bob Saget, another one, fell, didn't get help, died. Got to be careful with these falls. Once you get over 60 years old, I'm telling you, you fall, it'll fuck you up. You got to be careful. You got to think about every step. You can't do the things you did when you were younger. Uncle Glenn, are you hearing me? Are you hearing me, Uncle Glenn? You had strike one, maybe strike two. You need to be careful because you could have drowned. We won't get into it, but Uncle Glenn, he's got to take care of himself. Okay, you gotta map out every step you take. Okay, pal. Shelley Duvall died too. The great Shelley Duvall. We all know what that dickhead Dr. Phil did with her and exposed her mental health, and what a fucking asshole that guy is. The amount of quacks that Oprah has released into the world, like Spider-Man villains, Dr. Oz and Dr. Phil and that fucking crazy Cesar Ramon or whatever, the dog guy that just like kicks the shit out of dogs, train them. We're not all about the Caesar, okay? We're going the opposite way. We don't want to stress the dog out. We don't want it to bark and be scared and all that shit. We're doing the opposite of Caesar, but I guess when he gets like a rabid dog, it's the only thing he can do. Fuck Caesar, fuck all Oprah's minions. The last thing I'll talk about in the opening, Frankie Boy Stronach, is on trial for sexual assault and rape. He's 90 years old. Now, Frank Stronach, maybe a lot of you don't know, where I grew up, everybody knew Frank Stronach because that's where his compound was. He's a businessman, he's a billionaire, and he's in Aurora. That's like his main town where he's based out of. And as long as I can remember, since I was a little kid, there was always this big, huge piece of land that was his, and there was like this big house on it, and for a long time it was just fully empty. And then with this house and like a barn, and then he started to put factories on and a golf course, and now I think there's even like subdivisions on it. He sold all that shit to make more money, and this guy's name, his company Magna, is on everything. The community centers. I remember the Aurora Tigers hockey team had to change their name to the Aurora Magna Tigers because he became the big sponsor of everything. Magna, Magna, Magna. I just grew up with the Magna, and now this guy he needs to die. Like, if he's not, he needs to die before he goes to trial because he'll probably be found guilty, just like that Peter Nygaard guy. You know, there's another rich guy, old fart that's guilty, spending the rest of his life in jail. And it's going to really fuck up Aurora. I'll tell you, it'll really fuck them up if he gets convicted. And what are they going to do? They're going to have to, like, drop Magna from all their shit. It's fucking everywhere. It's a new market, too. It's crazy. Magna, Frankie Stronach, wow. And apparently he was doing some of the sexual assaults very late in life, too. Way back when, and even, like, a couple years ago when he was, like, in his late fucking 80s. Can't teach an old dog new tricks.
Fitness update.
All right, let's get to the fitness update. We're in the dog days, right? The dog days of summer. If you've got a puppy, God bless you. I hope that your puppy stops biting soon, too. He's going to be 14 weeks. 14 weeks? I think. Yeah, I think he's going to be 14 weeks next week. And we're hoping by 16 weeks he's going to be over this biting shit with us. We're trying everything, man. We're trying everything. He's gnawing on bones. We got everything. So we're really hoping that happens. Now, I will say that since getting the dog, I've lost weight because food is not a priority, only when I absolutely have to. And I'm going up and down and up and down. You know, it takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of energy to look after this guy. And I have been getting on the bike and stuff again and whatnot. Not a crazy amount, but I'm trying to make my way back there. And, you know, it just seems like we're not getting enough sleep. Our schedules are changing, and we're getting up now at 6 or 7. And like, if I sleep until 8, it's a big deal for me. I wake up, I'm like, wow, the wife let me sleep till 8. This is huge. But I'm going to bed at like 11 because we're just so exhausted by this goddamn puppy. So I don't know if it's good for my health or bad for my health. I think it's both. Because, you know, I just went and had a physical. I haven't had a proper physical. I've had other types of yearly appointments that I'm not really willing to talk about right now. Let's just say that I've had to do some surveillance for the last 15 years. We'll get into that at some point. But a proper physical where they check your blood work, they check your sugar, your potassium, your cholesterol, all that stuff. It's been a while, and it's been on my mind because obviously I'm not a 160-pound personal trainer anymore. Haven't been that for a while. Haven't been that for about 20 years almost. So being a little bit overweight, I've been a little bit worried that, like, oh, what's going on with that stuff? Thankfully, no issues with cholesterol, no issues with sugar, not diabetic. All my blood work was normal. Potassium was good. My kidneys are good. You know, like, good sign. But here's the thing. The blood pressure. So my blood pressure reading was at the end of my doctor's appointment. And I was obviously a little bit stressed because I was waiting on this news and some other news. I also had a ton of water in me. I had to piss so bad. She took my blood pressure. I should have told her. Should have told my doctor, I got to pee so bad. And my reading was 142/80. And she's like, okay, I'd like you under 140. Like the bottom number was fine. Top number was high. 142, that's like 22 points higher than normal, right? And she's like, it could be white coat syndrome, which is something that I have. White coat syndrome is just going to the doctor, raises your blood pressure, gets you stressed out and worried. And then I realized that there were other things that could be affecting that too. Anyway, she told me I had to get a blood pressure machine and take my blood pressure morning and night to see if this was the actual number going on or was there's some other factors. And like the first reading that I did, it was 118/75. Everything has been in like the 120s. So I think I'm fine. But I have issues with the blood pressure monitor. I have some anxiety about it. So I think even when I've had like some 123s over 77s or something like that, and it's been the stress of it, and like I had to take a little break from it because just going right from after the physical into it really fucked with my head, and I was getting too worked up. Like my resting heart rate would be 58, and then when that fucking thing starts to tighten around your arm, it would go up to 100. So this is the problem with doctors. Yes, they're important. Yes, they're like, you have to go to your appointments and they catch stuff, but they also are bad for your health for some people. Me going to the doctor and having it go up that much is bad for my health. But there are other reasons to that day why my blood pressure could have been higher. For one, and I'll read you a little list, okay? And I'll put some eerie music because blood pressure, it's a scary thing for me and for other people. I don't know why I've never had issues with it, but it did kind of freak me out to get that reading. Okay, so here are 15 surprising things that raise your blood pressure. Now, it's not just anger or worry or salt that causes your blood pressure to go up. There are other things that can give a bad reading. One is added sugar. So it might even be more important than salt in raising your blood pressure. Is like if you're having a lot of high fructose corn syrup, if you're drinking Coca-Cola and stuff like that, full fat Cokes, it can go up as much as 15 points in your top number, your systolic pressure, which is the pressure of your heartbeat when it beats. The systolic, the diastolic pressure is the pressure between heartbeats when your heart is at rest. So that never had an issue with the diastolic, but the systolic, I was pounding a little bit harder for that appointment. Didn't have any added sugar, okay? So that wasn't one that would affect it. Loneliness. This isn't just about the number of friends you have. It's about the feeling you connected. After being stressed and depressed doesn't fully explain the effect. It also gets worse with time. Over 4 years, the upper blood pressure of the loneliest people in a study went up more than 14 points. Researchers think an ongoing fear of rejection and disappointment and feeling more alert about your safety and security may change how your body works. Sleep apnea. Sleep apnea can also increase your blood pressure. You're getting less oxygen. If you do that, it damages your blood vessel walls. Makes it harder for your body to regulate your blood pressure down the road. Not enough potassium. Your kidneys need a balance of sodium and potassium to keep the right amount of fluid in your blood. So if you're eating a low-salt diet, you could still have a high blood pressure if you're not also eating enough fruits, veggies, beans, low-fat dairy, or fish. While you may think of bananas as a go-to source, broccoli, water chestnuts, spinach, and other leafy greens are better to get potassium if you're watching your weight. That's right, because, I love bananas, but they do make you a little bloat. Pain can also raise your blood pressure. You can see this effect when you put your hand in ice water, press on your cheek or fingernail, or get an electric shock to your finger. Herbal supplements, ginkgo, ginseng, guarana, ephedra, bitter orange, or St. John's wort, they can all affect your blood pressure, and that's why depending on medications you take, they tell you to avoid them. If you have thyroid problems, low hormone levels might raise your bad cholesterol. Another thing that can stiffen your arteries, so it doesn't look like I'm having those. You have to pee. Systolic pressure went up about 4 points, and diastolic 3 points in a study of middle-aged women who hadn't gone to the bathroom for at least 3 hours. Men and women of different ages saw similar effects. High blood pressure becomes more likely as you age, so you need to get accurate readings. An empty bladder could be one way to help do that. So that is definitely something I had in my system. I had to pee so bad that definitely popped up my systolic pressure. Now, NSAIDs, okay, these are non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. I had a headache that morning. A couple hours before, I took an ibuprofen, maybe an hour before. Such drugs like that, aspirin, ibuprofen, can raise your numbers, whether you're healthy or you already have high blood pressure. There's the average rise of only a few points. but there's a wide range, which means it could affect some people much more than others. Your doctor's office, aka white coat effect, in the rise of blood pressure up to 10 points higher for systolic and 5 for diastolic. So that's definitely where I think I was getting. The bump is likely due to nerves or anxiety. Yep. Decongestants, dehydration can cause your blood pressure to go up. Hormonal birth control. And yeah, that's about it. That's about it. So those are different factors when you are taking your blood pressure. You need to remember some of those things. Caffeine's another big one. Eating a meal like the blood pressure monitor that I bought, it's said to, make sure you don't have to pee. Make sure you haven't eaten in the last hour or drank any caffeine or anything. And that's why I've been taking my readings in the morning and at night. So I think everything's okay. It seems like the readings are coming back pretty normal. And talking to other people, it wasn't like I had to run to the hospital with that kind of reading. It's definitely hypertension, but the fact that it's come down with my at-home readings is a good sign that everything's okay. And the doctor is just there to, fucking kill me.
Health news. News that is health related.
All right, we'll get on to the health news. Boy, I just realized I'm probably going to have to get another new family doctor when we move again. Oh, boy. Think how hard that's going to be in a small town. Might have to just become a doctor. Might have to finally do that. Just become one. Or come on, AI. Get your shit together. There should be like doctor fucking depots where you just go into a room and the body scans and you talk to AI. I'd be fine with that. I'd be fine with just talking to a machine that's all scientific. Does a perfect body scan. Probably could do like a tiny Theranos blood test. That would kill her. That would kill Bets. Old fucking Betty in jail once they figure that out. They will. There will be those little finger prick tests eventually for stuff, and she'll be in jail still getting biting the bar, as they say. Biting that bar and grinding it. Okay, let's move on to some health news. Let's try and keep this sucker going, because who knows, I'm going to probably have to take care of this dog again in any moment now. Any moment. So there was an article that I read that I found interesting about the connection between your father's diet before you were conceived, like immediately before you were conceived, could have an effect on your health. Now, remember, with these health articles, I always post links to them in the show notes, along with my goofy links. The health ones will take you to the article that you can read and make your own conclusions. But I just thought that this was, you always hear about when women get pregnant, they stop drinking, they stop smoking or whatever, and they don't want to affect the baby that's being born. But there hasn't been any thought to, well, what happens? What about the father? What about their diet? Everyone just thinks that they've got perfect chum or something, and the chum don't rum, But there could be some factors that could make the father's diet kind of pass on certain health things. I know genetically we know that can happen, but a factor of diet, even if like a few weeks before you conceive a child, is crazy. So this is the daddy data here. Your father's diet before you were born could have played a role in your health. Released earlier this month in Nature, the study from German research group Helmholtz Munich looked at health data for more than 3,000 families. In all, they found that a trend linked father's body weight and their children's, even when accounting for genetics, maternal health, and environmental factors. But laboratory testing conducted as part of the study may indicate that the impacts come down to a small window of time around conception, perhaps a matter of days or weeks. Quote, our results suggest that the preventative health care for men wishing to become fathers should receive more attention, and that programs should be developed for the purpose, especially with regard to diet. Raphael Turpentino, head of Helmholtz's Environmental Epigenetics department, said in a press release, this can reduce the risk of diseases like obesity and diabetes in children. So mice given food higher in fat for 2 weeks were found to produce offspring with higher risk of metabolic disease, including in some cases a lower tolerance for sugar and a resistance to insulin, traits central to diabetes. The study concluded that high-fat impacts were reversible, meaning a would-be father who's been eating poorly may be able to undo the effects if they eat a healthier diet shortly before conception, at least in the case of the mice. While maternal body mass index has traditionally been associated with health outcomes for children, so the focus on the mother, further analysis by the Munich team found that among families with low BMI mothers, a high BMI father doubles the obesity risk of the child, alongside impacts on insulin sensitivity. So it might not, and hey, a lot of the time people aren't planning these things. Sometimes they are, sometimes they just happen, and you're not thinking about your diet. You had a Big Mac the other day, and then the next day you had a little hanky-panky and she got pregnant. And so, yeah, it's a hard thing to control, but I guess it means you when you want to have a child, you should want to and focus on planning it. And hey, for a month before, just eat super clean. Eat super clean. Do some intermittent fasting, and it'll be better for the kid, apparently. It'll be better for the swimmers, and they won't be a grotesque obese child, which is a problem of today with the lack of inactivity. Now, the other article I wanted to talk about was something that I've never really been interested in tattoos, but there are studies out now that are saying that maybe tattoos come with an increase in cancer. Now, I will say that there was a really positive thing I heard recently about people with tattoos. Now, Jeffrey Dahmer did not like to kill and eat people with tattoos. He said that the flesh tasted weird if people had tattoos. So if you have tattoos, you probably protect yourself from cannibals. They don't like it. So that's a positive right off the bat here. Okay. But there is a study that came out of Sweden that found that having a tattoo was linked to a 21% increased risk of lymphoma. Now, the size of the tattoo didn't factor into a person's chances of developing lymphoma, which is a little skeptical right there, right? Experts involved in the study said more research is necessary to understand how tattoo ink might influence cancer risk. Now, they've been, tattoos have been going on people for thousands of years. They weren't using some type of, factory-made dye that they probably use today. They were using different pigmentation from plants and fruit and vegetables and whatnot. And that's how they did it back in the old days. But now everything, you just don't know where things come from. You don't know what's in those dyes. The claim comes from research published in May in the journal eClinical Medicine. And it did find that the tattoo was associated with 20% higher odds of lymphoma. Tattoos have grown in popularity in recent years. In the United States, in 2010, only 23% of people had a tattoo. In 2023, it's gone up to 32% of people have tattoos. So the interest in them is only gaining. The International Agency for Research on Cancer has classified some chemicals found in tattoo ink, such as primary aromatic amines, as carcinogenic or potentially carcinogenic, though mostly only when ingested, inhaled, or applied on top of the skin. Studies have also shown that the pigment from tattoos ends up being filtered and stored in the lymph nodes, where some lymphoma cases begin. In about 20% of people who had tattoos, researchers discovered that they had that having a tattoo was associated with about 21% increased odds of lymphoma, with the size of the tattoo not having an influence, which it's important to keep in mind that lymphoma is a very rare disease and that the increase relates to a baseline risk that is very, very low. So it doesn't mean that, hey, if you have a tattoo, you're probably going to get lymphoma. Probably not. I'm just, you're going to some dingy fucking tattoo parlor. You might be taking a risk with what they're putting in your body. So just trust where you're going, I guess. If you're in prison, just make sure the guy knows what he's doing with that Bic pen. So there has been obviously some doctors that have come out against it, just saying that it's they're skeptical of it. The finding that there was a heightened risk of lymphoma within 2 years of getting a tattoo, and then again after 11 years doesn't add up. So it's like 2 years or 11 years. It's kind of a weird time frame for lymphoma to appear and be connected to the tattoos. The other thing that doesn't make sense is if this toxin that gets put into the body through ink, there isn't an association between the size of the tattoo and cancer risk. So if someone's got like a full sleeve compared to a little fucking dumb thing on their arm, a couple of dots or whatever the fuck it is, how could there not be an increased risk of lymphoma if you had more ink, right? So the fact that hasn't been proven shows that this is, you can't think of it too much. But definitely, I would say, know where you're going. Try to go to a place that you've had some friends that have gone to it and they haven't gotten any lymphoma in the last 2 or 11 years. And they should be fine. The ink should be all right. Okay, let's wrap this up. We finally got it in. We're at the 40-minute mark, just about, and with some other shit. Okay, here's some shit. Okay, now we've talked about Subway in this podcast. We've talked about Jared. We've talked about how it's amazing that they were able to get out of that and still continue. The power of the franchise, the power of the fucking franchise. I ate at Subway for my first time since I think before the pandemic last month, and the prices are fucking crazy. Like 2 foot long veggie subs are going to cost you like $30. It's crazy. Who's still fucking eating at this place? You're eating cake. You're eating shit like vegetables sprayed with fucking who knows what. And let's not forget that pedo who looms over that franchise and always will. Always will. Always be the Subway guy. And there'll always be a tale about Jared. How is Subway still a goddamn franchise? Okay, Jesse Plemons. You know Jesse Plemons, a.k.a. Doughy Matt Damon, a.k.a. maybe one of the craziest motherfuckers on the Breaking Bad TV show. He's a part of the celebrities in Hollywood right now that have been getting incredibly thin. Now, this guy, he's bulked up for some roles. He's been chubby. He talked about how Benedict Cumberbatch made fun of his weight on that dog movie, The Hair of the Dog, or whatever the fuck it was called. And then he got super skinny and everyone's like, oh, well, you're on the Ozempic. Jesse, you are on the motherfucking Ozempic. And he came out and said, I'm actually not. What I am on is intermittent fasting. He's like, it actually worked for me. And he's just gone into a calorie deficit and he's lost a ton of weight. But he's like, now everyone thinks I'm on Ozempic and I can't really fight it. I don't know. He might have to give a blood test to the public, give it to the National Enquirer. I don't know. I don't know what you're going to do, but it just made me, when it said intermittent fasting, I was happy because, you know what? Doughy Matt Damon, it worked for you. I think it was working for me. I'm kind of slowly trying to do that again. I'm trying to hold off as much as I can. And we're like eating these factor meals right now because we just can't fathom cooking. And they almost like healthy TV dinners is what they look like. And they've been great. And it's just a good amount of food, good amount of calories to eat, before you go to bed. And we've been doing that for the last couple of weeks. We're just trying to get through this dog shit right now. And then we can maybe go back to cooking like a normal person again. How did people survive? How did our parents survive? Like, they had kids left and right, puppies, dogs, cats. They didn't fucking care. We fucking can't breathe. One decision it cripples us. I don't understand it. Moving on to some sports talk. LeBron James' son, Bronny. LeBron James is my age, and he has a son that just got drafted in the NBA. He was a really late pick. He's not very good. He does not look ready. I don't think he's going to make this league, but he's playing on his dad's team. He's playing on the Lakers. He's had a terrible summer league. Had a couple good games. I think it's terrible for him. I don't see how any celebrity celebrity athlete that has a parent that is so on top of their sport, like Wayne Gretzky's kids or Tiger Woods' kids, LeBron James, Michael Jordan's kids didn't get into basketball. It's a friggin' hard road. because you're always going to be compared to your dad, and your dad's arguably the greatest. So I don't know. I think it was bad for him. I think it's hurting his career, but he's a rich kid. He can do whatever the fuck he wants. I mean, this kid died on the fucking court. He had cardiac arrest and they brought him back. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's fucked up. But today, the Olympics are starting. That's exciting because we are in that sports lull right now of the summer where there's no hockey. There's very little basketball news. It's very dry and terrible. I hate this part of it. But it's nice because you appreciate it when it comes back in the greatest season of the Canadian climate, fall. But the Olympics start today. The Canadians are already getting in shit. Apparently, both soccer teams, women and men, they're using drones to spy. The coaches are getting suspended and sent home. It's crazy. Look, Canada's never been good at soccer. We just haven't. And we're finally pretty okay. I think the women won the gold medal last time or something. The men are playing a lot better at the last tournament, but we still need a game genie a little bit. You got to let the Canadians use the game genie because they're never going to be a big Canadian or soccer threat. You're never going to compete on the world stage against the South American teams or some of the European teams. It's just never going to happen. They're never going to be up there. You just want them to maybe get through a round, get out of the fucking round robin, so let them fucking take a little gander with the drone, would you? Just a little peek. They just want a little peek of what you're doing there. I mean, it's a chess match at the end of the day, right? So what are they going to do? What are they going to do? They're just going to see who's kicking the ball? Who knows? I don't know anything about soccer. I only like watching the big games. I couldn't care less about the fucking European teams and all that shit. Give me the big country games. That's all I'm in for. Last thing I'll say before we wrap this baby up, thank you for listening. Sorry it has been so long since the last one. It's been so hard to sit down and be able to do this. I'm glad I finally got to do it. Thanks to my listeners that have hung in there. And we'll try to get back onto a more regular schedule and guide you through this last year living in the hometown stopover. That's exciting. That is exciting for us. And that's going to be exciting for you too. So I probably am going away to my wife's cottage next week, and I'll probably try and find a little pocket of space. Maybe I'll go for a nature walk and record. I'm just going to record it right into the phone, baby, and I'll edit it, and we'll put it up there because I love taking her on the road. There's nothing like it. I think I have to think more that way now because very hard to get time to sit and just have a moment to do things right now. It'll change. Just right now is, God, right now is right now. Just say Jasper, the fires are back, baby. Doesn't seem like it's affecting us too much here in Ontario, but the fires are back in Canada. BC and Alberta are getting hit with some forest fires. Jasper has been hit. I've never been to Jasper. Many years ago, I had the chance to go. And I was dating a girl for a short amount of time, and it moved a little too fast. Her parents bought me a ticket, and I panicked because I wasn't feeling the relationship at all. And I did not go to Jasper. That was my one and only chance to see it. And now it has apparently been erased from the earth, much like the main strip in Maui has been. So that's too bad. Maybe I'll go back in time and jump on that plane ticket and feel horrible using her to go to this beautiful place in Alberta. But that's the way it goes, babe. Oh, that's it. I got it out. I did it. I can hear the dog barking. I can fucking hear him in the office. So I have to go tend to the dog. And by the next time I record this, he'll be maybe like a week or two older, and everything will be one less day a puppy. That's what I'm excited for. Thank you for listening. Google Podcast is gone. We are on YouTube Music. We're on Spotify. We're on Apple Podcasts. There's transcripts of the podcast on Apple Podcasts. If you'd like to read while you listen, thanks for listening. I love you guys. Watch that blood pressure, would ya?